Hello and welcome to this episode of T-Tech. This is part 3 of 3 in our Wi-Fi router series. In this part, we're going to talk about more advanced topics such as disabling our SSID broadcast, enabling MAC address filtering, and disabling WPS. I do hope you enjoy this one, and let's get into it. Hello and welcome to this episode of T-Tech. This is part 3 of 3 in our Wi-Fi router series. This part, we're going to go over some intermediate advanced settings on our Belkin router. So the first thing we'll do is go under advanced settings here. And this first one is primarily a security step that I highly recommend that you do. What I want you to do is under the Wi-Fi here, we're going to go and click Wi-Fi protected setup. And again, from before, we changed that admin password. Remember, that has to be separate from the Wi-Fi password. Now, what Wi-Fi protected setup does, it gives an easy way for devices to connect without having to type that password. Essentially, we just have to tap a button on the router and it will automatically connect. What we want to do though is go ahead and say off on both of those options on the drop-down menu. And we're going to go ahead and click Save. And again, it has to apply those changes. I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. Those changes are now done. And now we're going to go back to our dashboard. And a quick way to verify it is just go down to wireless here, and it says WPS is off. And that's what you want to see. And that does increase the security of your Wi-Fi quite a bit. Now, the other thing is with networking. Computers and any device that we discussed before have a MAC address, a media access control address. The MAC address is a little bit different from the IP address, but they do work together though. The MAC address identifies the computer itself, even when it doesn't have an IP address yet. But the IP address just links that computer with that network, that group of computers in other words. So you do need both of them. But because the MAC address identifies a specific device that's on your network, we can restrict what devices can use our network. So to do this, we want to go under Firewall and under MAC address filtering. We're going to go ahead and click that. And what we want to do is under MAC address, we want to start typing our MAC address. And under here, I'm going to go in my network manager, and under something similar to connection info, you'll see something called hardware address or MAC address. In Windows, the easiest way to do this is just go to Start or the Windows icon in the left-hand corner. Just type CMD, hit enter, and then once a black box opens up, you're going to type the word ipconfig /all, and under that output there should be something that says wireless adapter, and then there you would just see MAC address or hardware address. But we want to go ahead and start to type the address. I don't believe the capitalization matters on this interface, but sometimes it does matter. So it's 1C, 1B, 0D, 03, I'm sorry, whoops, 03, you gotta make sure you type it right, 03, 0D, and then the last portion was 89. So at this point, where we want to hit add, that MAC address has already been added. Okay, so when you enable MAC filtering on Belkin, they automatically add the MAC of the computer that's logged in. So actually, all we need to do at this point is enable MAC address filtering, hit save, and I'll see you in 1 second. Alright, welcome back. So that MAC address is added now, but let's say that you have somebody else that brought a device that you have to allow on the network. Let's go ahead and type 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, and 06. just as a test MAC address. This won't usually be assigned to any computer. We're going to add that. Oops. It cannot be a multicast address. So we're going to go ahead and put in 00. And whoops, I don't think it added it. Okay, apologies for that. So what has to happen here is we just add the MAC in. So 00 11 22 33 44 55, for example. And the error I got before where it said it was a multicast address, that was because the second portion of the address was 02, and that's a special MAC address for multicast. But that is a little bit out of the scope of what we're talking about today. So anyway, you would just go on whatever device you want to allow, you would look at its MAC address, and once you type it in here, we would hit add, and there we go. That is now MAC address 1 in our access control list. And if we wanted to delete it, likewise, we would hit delete. Now, our computer is allowed, as well as any computer with this MAC address. Okay, so at that point, we're going to hit save. And I'll be right back once this finishes. All right, so that is how we successfully implement MAC address filtering. And remember, that is limiting what computer has access to the network. So what computers can use our internet. From there, the last thing I want to show you guys is we want to go back to the dashboard. And under Wi-Fi, network name, under broadcast SSID. Now this means if we have this checked, it will tell any computer that has Wi-Fi what the name is. When we uncheck this box, unless someone is using special software to monitor this, they won't be able to see the network name. On Android, iPhone, whatever, it will be blank, and only you need to know the network name to connect and the password. So it adds a little bit of a layer of security. Now, none of these things I am discussing are silver bullets to this. So they're layers. With security, we want to have layers. So this is the best we can do. So we're going to uncheck this box here and save. And again, I'll go ahead and give it a second to reboot. Okay, now as you can see, the box is unchecked. And if we go back to the dashboard, the Wi-Fi is all set up, all good for us. Now, the last thing we're going to do, since we are talking about more of an intermediate portion here, under Utilities, we're going to go to Save Restore Settings. Since we've went through and set all this up, it is important to back up our settings in case something happens. So, under Save Current Settings, we would go ahead and tap that, find a place to save it, like on our desktop, and then just hit download or save. And if something happened, we would, under Load Previous Settings, browse for our file, and then open it to upload it to the device. And upload just means sending to the device, and download means receiving from it. And also, if we want to sell this device in the future or something, we would just hit Restore Defaults. Now, that is our basic way of managing all that. And the last thing we might want to take a peek at is Firmware Update in the Firmware Update tab. It automatically checks when you log in and things like that, but this will check if there's any other firmware for this device. Right now there isn't, but if there was, this would check for the new firmware and install it for us. Or if you want to do it in a different way, you could go to belkin.com and find the firmware file and just save it to your hard drive first and then upload it. But those are two ways to update the firmware as well. And that's important too, because the firmware is the brains of your Wi-Fi router, and there is certain security things that it can do that have to be updated over time when problems are found. But with all that, we're going to finish this by going back to our dashboard, hitting the padlock icon, and our router's locked back up here, and we'll just go right back to our home page. So with all of that, this was part 3 of 3 of our Wi-Fi router series. I hope you enjoyed this one and found it useful. So again, I'm Tyler with T-Tech, and I will see you later, and have a nice day.